over here, so we're doing it live. Welcome back, to Hooligans Pitch, as we always do.
Episode 88.
Episode 88. Cat's out of the bag, Man City sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey,
Chad.
how's it going?
It's been 2 weeks. Little gap week.
Yeah.
Finals in life kind of took over, but we're back at it. This has been a very entertaining week of footy.
Yes.
Lots of movement in the table. Lots of interesting placing of teams. A little bit of struggling at the top end of the table outside of Chelsea, which I think, kudos to them for winning the games they need to win. But I just kind of want to get right into it here. What's the bigger storyline right now? Man City in 5th or Forest in 4th?
I mean, that's hard to decide. I think City would take the bigger story just because of their dominance.
Sure.
But I mean, Forest in 4th and looking pretty well deserving of it is a worthy story in its own right. So
the table's fascinating right now. City, if you were to tell me without looking at the standings that Man City was in between Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth, and then try to guess where those teams were, I mean, if you go off our predictions at the beginning of the year, I don't think we could do it. I think we'd probably say mid-table, but if you go off of City's performance, like, okay, well, City isn't that. At the beginning of the year, I personally had City winning.
I
think you had.
I believed it. So I think I had Arsenal up there.
You did.
But, City was always going to be in contest of the title. And still early. I'm not saying they're out, but it's not looking good.
It's not great for City. Considering in the past couple of years, it's really only been one or two teams ahead of them, and basically that was Liverpool and Arsenal, with a touch of Tottenham here and there. Aston Villa kind of making a run for it too, but when you got 4 teams ahead of you, and I would argue 2 of those weren't really expected to be in the top 4, that being Forest and Chelsea. With Bournemouth right on your tail too, and Aston Villa is also kind of creeping. It's a fascinating place to be, but I think we should just start off talking about that game this weekend, the Manchester Derby, and how unfulfilling that game was for, I would say, close to 86 minutes, and then all of a sudden it was like must-watch TV.
Right when I walked away, honestly, because I was like, this is done. It's boring.
At what point did you walk away?
I walked away, I think, at like the 80th minute or something.
Brutal.
I kind of had to because we were getting ready to go, but I was, didn't feel like I was going to miss out on anything because it felt so flat. Like neither team was really doing anything. And then I see the Discord blowing up and then checked the score, and I checked it, I think, just as the second goal went in, because Who Scored said 2-1. I was like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah, it happened very, very quickly. I guess we can just start from kind of the beginning, or at least where City got their goal. Pretty unfortunate for Man United to have that goal happen. Wicked deflection off of De Bruyne's corner, or I guess it's cross in the box. I thought it was defended pretty well. I mean, Onana was he was already in a position to defend the initial cross, and then it's the crazy deflection went right to Vardiol, which, no surprise, he's on the score sheet. It makes you wonder why, Pep hasn't been playing him more. I don't think he played in the last 2 games outside of this one. He didn't play in the Liverpool game. Oh no, and then he played against he did play against Palace and Forest, but we all knew it was going to be him scoring this goal. He was due for it. But when the substitutions came for Man United in the 78th minute or so, I thought Man United was done for, because if that was when you walked away, you probably saw Anthony playing from center back to right back to central, not knowing really where he was supposed to go, and the commentators making that very known. I thought at that point, I was like, they're done. This is over.
Yeah. there was the big hubbub around United because they didn't have Rashford or Garnacho in the team purely by choice. And then as I watched this game, I was like, damn, this is a game where you could have used Garnacho's pace or Rashford's pace, and like you're almost getting through that City backline and couldn't. So then I was kind of hanging out to see if something would develop, and especially what subs United would use to try and break through, because I think they probably felt like they certainly didn't deserve to lose the game. But then, I saw Anthony come on, and I was already a little bit shaky on if I'm staying at that point. And then, when he's in there the first few minutes, and no one knows where he's at, and he's Anthony doing Anthony things, and it just, for the first half, feeling so like not even overly competitive, but feeling like United was certainly going to win this. I wanted to stick around and see that. And then, City get their goal. And I think a whole second half, like both teams, but United especially, just seemed to have no idea of like what to do. And then, some heroics at the end when I wasn't watching. So you're welcome, everyone. I turned it off and we got the goals.
Diallo was easily the best player on the pitch.
For sure.
Making fantastic runs. His speed, his burst that he has is incredible. His control is a little wild, but I mean, when he can control 1 out of 10 like he did for his goal and score that, that's what you want out of a really fast winger or wing back at that. What did you think about the Kyle Walker Oscar award winner there?
Yeah, it's just silly. I mean, I get that he's smart enough to recognize, a player comes in and does kind of the headbutt motion, so like you can probably try to play that off as something, but I think it's just hard this day and age in VAR. Like, if there's not for sure contact, you're not going to really be able to sell it. And I don't know, that there's been a lot of talk now of, okay, well, if you go down trying to get a player sent off, like, should you not get sent off for that? As you're kind of trying to cheat the game there. So
do you think this could have been red card worthy, or at least double yellow in this situation? Because I do.
I would say so, but I feel like the league and the refs are not like brave enough to do that at this point in time. I think it should go that way because, let's say Højlund gets the red right away because ref thinks he sees a headbutt, and then VAR is VAR, so might not disagree whether they see a lot of contact or not. So then Højlund's out, and Kyle Walker wasn't even touched really, and so I think if you're going to play that game and you lose that battle, then I think you're putting your position out there on the line too, and if you want to mingle in the dark arts, you got to take the punishment that comes to you.
I just think the tackle that Walker made was obviously yellow card worthy.
Yeah.
Højlund reacted to it, and then Kyle Walker essentially dove. And I thought diving was was going to be a yellow. So I was really, when I saw a yellow card come in when they both were handed yellows, I actually thought initially that was Kyle Walker's second, just because I thought he already got the yellow for that foul. Yeah. So I guess I'm going to assume that the foul he made wasn't a yellow, and it was the retaliation from both players that was deserving of a yellow.
I mean, I guess, but I think it once everything kind of bubbled up, I think the ref probably just kind of forgot about the foul and was just focused purely on what this extra contact was. But I would agree, that the initial foul I think was worthy enough of a yellow.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's what the retaliation was all about.
Yeah, and then if you're gonna play it by the letter of the law, then he dove. It's at least a yellow.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think a lot of people would have had issue with it. It's things in the game that people don't want to see, but it doesn't get as much attention as, kicking the ball away and that sort of stuff that is like the hot button issue this
Yeah, right.
season.
It's like that would have been a yellow in this situation.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other controversial call, which this is just an Anthony Taylor classic, was the non PK call on Diaz. Which
Yeah.
explain that to me. It seemed like some people we know were on agreement that it wasn't a PK, but I'm like, how is it not? He didn't
Yeah.
go for the ball. He didn't touch the ball. He made contact with the player, and Højlund, I think, still was in the right to get to that ball.
Mhm.
I think if you're a Man United fan, you have to be kind of losing your mind there, saying, what am I supposed to do in that situation
Yeah.
or in a PK?
I was surprised to not see more kind of uproar from the United players after that. It seems, the initial ask for a penalty, but then that was kind of it. And so I don't know, maybe the people saying it's not a pen are right, but like from all the angles I've seen, yeah, it's leg across Højlund, doesn't play the ball, just directly into Højlund's path. So yes, I think it was Diaz. He gets bumped by Højlund, so like maybe that causes the contact. But like you did put your leg across him, right, and didn't make the tackle, didn't get the ball. For me, it's a pen. It's I've heard it, brushed aside as a challenge you just don't call in a big derby like this or something like that. And it's like, well, why should that matter? Like the game or level of game, state of game, whatever, shouldn't decide what is and isn't a penalty now.
Yeah, just because you're in the highest division doesn't mean you shouldn't get a PK call
Yeah.
in any other league. You'd be getting it. Yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. I don't know, just a couple of fascinating decisions that were made, but
Yeah.
Man U got their PK again. Diallo creating it all. I was very nervous for Bruno walking up there. I honestly was like, he's not scoring this. He just looked off that game. He had a sitter that he missed, which was just unbelievable. He missed that. And that happened not too far before this PK. So I definitely thought that would linger in his brain. Prove me wrong. And then again, just awful defending on City's part.
Yeah.
For the game winner.
It just going back to that first goal, it's a bad back pass, but then I don't understand why these players, make the bad back pass, then think they got to have some hero moment where they can make up for their mistake and rush in and make this tackle in a, such a small window or something. Whereas like Diallo and Ederson are away from goal a bit, right? And Ederson's right in front of him. So you're still asking Diallo to get a decent shot off. If I think Nunez did the pass, well, he made the tackle at least. If you don't want to get back and like just rush the goal line and try and make a last ditch save, okay, but at least maybe pull up to Diallo and just put pressure on him, not like commit this wild challenge, but if you put pressure on him, then now he has an even smaller window. He needs to make his decision quicker. I think had they played it that way, I don't know that Diallo scores from there. It's not the craziest goal he could score, but with two players pressuring you and the keeper right in front of you, could be tough to get by. But Nunez was just had that little hero moment and did not work out.
De Bruyne getting subbed out in the 60th, that was surprising to me. He was the only one with conviction when he had the ball. He was asking for the ball. Even when he made his little runs with space, it was worrisome. And then for him to get taken out, I was definitely surprised. I was like, wow, man, Pep is really believing in his team to at least hold a 1-0 lead and not really want to push forward and score more. That was interesting. So if you were Pep in the dressing room after this game, if you can give me one word that he said to his team, what would he say?
Oh boy. At this point, after so many losses, I feel like I don't know. I guess I'd say like the first word that came to mind was disappointed, but I feel like he's past that. He's just like,
disappointment.
it's almost that like we were so close to if you win this game, maybe that's a little bit of a springboard you need to get back on track. But I don't know. I guess maybe just if you wanted to take it from like a coaching perspective, maybe just like remind them that they got to focus the full game. Like, and I get a lot of these players are probably not used to that because they're generally up a handful of goals, especially late in game. So maybe that's part of it too. And I know Nunez doesn't play a lot for them, and especially not a left back or whatever he was playing. But yeah, I don't know. Pep's got a lot of work to do, and I don't know if he can do it.
I don't think. Yeah, not this year. I mean, it's
we're
early, but we're almost at the halfway point.
Yeah,
we're almost there.
But I think it's just like it's not solely their league form that's bad. Like Champions League, they're almost out of even moving on to the playoffs. So
that's crazy.
It's bad all around. So I know they got some injuries and a small squad already, but I don't really know where the fix is at this point. Like, for it to all fall apart off of Rodri is already crazy, and you still have De Bruyne was coming back from injury at the start of the season, but he's mostly back now. I'd say you still have Haaland out there. You still have a Doku, a Grealish, Savinho looked good in the early games. Like, you still have all this attacking threat. Your backline's a little bit mishmash at this point in time, but like, I don't know, you got to be able to figure something out, and it's just it's crazy to go from like being such a dominant team to this.
Yeah, it's a little championship hangover. Yeah. It happens. But we just think that you've won 6 championships and the hangover is happening now. It's like, I don't know. That's not really their excuse, or it has never been their excuse, but they always turn it up in January. So
yeah. So I don't think we're out of the woods yet on this.
No.
Once they typically go on their run of just not losing for the second half of the season.
Of course. And Liverpool's keeping it interesting right now by these draws, 2 in a row. If you wanted, can we segue into Liverpool here? And then that was an unlucky game, if I have to say so myself.
It's fair.
2 goals off of deflections. This was like the game of inches. If I had to say any game was a game of inches, this was one. Robinson probably had his worst game ever in a Liverpool kit. Extremely unlucky. Bad deflection on the goal. Horrible touch that led to his red card. I did see a lot of comments online, bringing up, well, maybe that shouldn't have been a red card. And I was like, y'all are crazy. I was like, the one time that I think they absolutely deserve a red card there, I see controversy saying, well, Virgil maybe could have made it back. I was like, nah. I was like, personally, I think that was the right call to make, unless it was offside, which they checked, and it did take a long time, but that was very close. Yeah. He was onside, but it took a while. I'm glad they got it right. That was one of those situations where if they would have taken 30 seconds to look at it and said, yep, he was onside, and not really given us a good look at it, I maybe would have been more skeptical. It definitely went on a little too long in my opinion, but the right call was made. To have that big of a touch and to try to, I don't know, win it back in the fashion he was trying to win it back in.
See, it's that hero moment when you mess up.
You panicked. And to say he would have scored off that, I don't know. Yeah. I think being down 1-0 at that point adds a little bit of more pressure. Virgil maybe could have made it back. Hard to say, but being down a man, Fulham kind of gifted us possession. I was kind of shocked at how much they were letting us truly control that game. 710 touches to Liverpool to 510 to Fulham. They let us kind of do whatever, especially when our back line is playing at half, and we basically had control of the midfield for the entirety of that game. The second goal that they got was, again, unlucky. I thought Gomez defended that super well. Excuse me. Thank you. Another deflection goal. It was a great touch by Muniz. Another great ball by Robinson. That dude is on fire right now.
Yep.
Best left back in the Prem. I don't think anyone would argue against that. And then, Jota back from injury, saving the day again. He's so good at it.
Of course.
How long did it take him? Roughly 6 minutes to get on the score sheet. Nice to have him back. We're already talking about starting him or not starting him. I think he's just the perfect super sub. And if he can buy into that role, I'm really content with having Nunez be the starting 9 or having this rotation between him and Diaz, however we want to do it, because his energy is there. I guess it depends on the situation, because Nunez coming in late in a game too can really bolster everyone's work rate. But having Jota back, the way he scored that goal too, totally fooled Leno. If I was Leno, I would have tried to go left too, just because of how much space he gave him.
Oh, for sure.
And the shoulder drop, it was great.
All his momentum was looking like he was going to shoot left anyway. So great shot, great, movement of his feet, I guess, to change his balance and get that shot off with still a lot of power. I kind of agree with you though. At least don't rush him back into like starting and playing big minutes right away. Like, he's such a key asset to have that I think it would be smarter to kind of just have him be super sub while he works back up and builds fitness at least. So then if a game looks like it's more his flow than the Nunez, then give him the start. But he's just so good. He's out there. He's almost always scoring. It feels like when I see him.
I feel like whenever he's on the pitch and we're down or need a win or the draw, he's gonna find a way to do it. And he's going to be out there until he's injured, and we just know something's. And it's usually not his fault. He's usually getting like absolutely beat down. But I think we've realized Konate is big for our back line. Not having him there in that partnership with Virgil, that's brutal. He's still going to be out for a couple more weeks. Roughly 2 more weeks here. But he's been missed.
I think Joe Gomez has done well, and like you said on that second goal, I think he, defended that as best as he could and did all he needed to do. Really, it's just Anthony Robinson is just playing on a different level right now, and everything's kind of fallen his way with his kicks and crosses and all that, and then lucky for Munoz to get a thigh to it. But it's not everyone's going through injuries, and it's interesting to see how some teams can cope with it better. I think Liverpool's doing really well with that. You look at just a dog on Man City some more. You look at their back line, they're missing some key center backs, and it's just not working. They are getting exposed. They're, just not connecting well. So for Liverpool to come back twice in this game and, be down a man for a majority of the game it's a draw, but like it's a win.
It shows resilience. It shows we're mentally tough and made for it. Still being a game in hand too. Like we still got Chelsea by 2 points. Chelsea's been on a roll here, but to know that we could potentially be up 5, that's a nice feeling to have.
Definitely.
I think this week we go Aston Villa. Or no, Tottenham. Tottenham on the 22nd. We got Southampton in the midweek. But I think that'll be a fun game.
Yeah.
Hopefully a lot of pace, a lot of movement.
But
we need that one. We need that one.
Yeah, that would have been nice to have Robinson for that one, honestly. Or Robertson, but
I'll take Robinson too, but
well, yeah. Well, I guess since I stumbled into that, I think we can say he won't be on Fulham next year. Like, I think that would be crazy if he's still there.
Unless Fulham buys some players in this winter window and make a push for top 5, which they're only 3 points out of. Like, they are there. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I think Fulham's so interesting because they bought 2 key players in Smith Rowe and Anderson. they're arguably playing the best they've played in the last decade since like the Dempsey era, which is,
Yeah.
it's been a while since they've been in
Oh yeah.
at least in the conversation. So I don't know. I think Fulham has some big decisions to make because you brought in these players to win. Now you're winning. So are you going to sell your best one now? You got to find the right replacement if you're going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be hard because I think a lot of teams will come knocking for Robinson now. He's last season was good. Season before I think was mostly good. I think he had some bad moments, but like this
Yep.
season, I feel like every game he's just been on.
It's locked in.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I know we kind of talk about him going to Liverpool, which would not be a bad shout at all.
I
I don't
could see
know.
I could see AC Milan coming in there. I could see
Mm,
because just the American squad they got going up. I could see
yeah.
some teams out of England coming in too. Um,
Yeah.
I think he'll be sought after. I really do.
Yeah.
If Madrid can't get Davies, I could see him possibly going there, which would be wild. But I mean, why not? He's in the
Then,
best. 2 years ago, we loved him, but we kind of hated him at the same time.
yeah.
And we were like, man, he's so. I remember like openly saying he's so good until like he just I don't know has his blip and screws up. But now there's not really any screw ups that are messing up his team. He takes so many chances now that are
Mhm.
calculated, and it's working, and people are noticing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking. He's 27, so kind of right in his prime, and
Yep.
man, he's really hitting it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where he goes.
He stays
I'm
fit.
glad he stays fit a lot, and seems to just keep building on these good performances, and um, somehow has that knack that like when Trent popped off, like everyone knows you're going down and crossing the ball, and you should just be able to defend that, but you can't for whatever reason. He's got the extra step, got the perfect trajectory on the ball. I don't know, but it's fun to see, fun to watch him.
Yep. All right, you want to talk Arsenal? Let me know what happened because I was in the other room watching Liverpool.
Yeah, this was one I thought we would win. Everton's given us some trouble in the past, but I didn't think they'd look like they were doing enough this season to cause the issues they did. But I think this is really more like we've seen Arteta do these like corrections before, where if something isn't working, then he typically will overcorrect to be like way more defensive than he needs to be to try and solidify the back line. And I think that was kind of this because you put out a team that was fairly defensive with both Rice and Marino in the midfield, which I get. Like I think that is probably the midfield he wants to move forward with, like them two plus Odegaard. So they gotta work on their connection and chemistry and all that. But I think you probably go into this game knowing that Everton's gonna sit back, gonna try and just compact the box and make it really difficult for you to get in. So I think it would have been better to probably drop Marino and have someone else with a little more creativity in there, which, if this was a Trossard midfield kind of game, maybe would have helped. Even if you want to drop Kai back to midfield and then have Jesus start up top, like I'm just trying to think of the dribblers and the ball carriers and, the guys that would look for the special pass that could have helped break through. But even then, like I assume it's game plan because the whole game it was just Arsenal didn't really want to counter. It looked like they got these moments where they won the ball high up or stopped a Everton attack, and they would make like the first pass to start the counter, and then whoever that ball went to, they would just kind of be slow and wait. And yeah, the Arsenal players got up more, but Everton got back, and then they're just sitting in again. It's not to say there weren't some chances. I think Odegaard had like 3 or 4 decent chances that just didn't work out, or Pickford being Pickford, making just stupid saves when you need him to just be a normal keeper for once. But
Right.
yeah, a frustrating loss considering the other results on the weekend, or not loss but draw, but it felt like a loss. um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much more to really say about it because there just wasn't a whole lot to go off of. It was, all the online chatter is, of course, the reactionary doom and gloom of, oh, we need a proper striker. We need, to figure this out. We're back to the U-shaped donut of doom sort of thing, and which I get all the critique on that, and it should have been a game that was easily won, but I don't know. Just I think it's more just Arteta was getting annoyed with the amount of goals they were letting in, or didn't like the threat that other teams are posing against us now, and wanted to really shore that up, and he did. No goals went in, but
It was against Everton.
And yeah, at the cost of maybe a more fluid, threatening attacking side.
Which,
so
let me know, the second lowest goal scoring team in the Premier League. It
yeah,
should have been obvious that they weren't going to let in a goal there.
Yeah.
39 clearances for Everton, which is
So
the most I might have ever seen.
Yeah, that's okay, says that Arsenal are down there, but not doing enough to really break through, or have the little 1-2 touches to get through, or on Anthony Robinson to throw in a crazy cross or something. So I don't know. It's a bummer to drop points there. I don't know. It is what it is. It just didn't pan out to be as good as a weekend as it could have been. But
yeah, December slump. I mean, nice that Liverpool drew 2, so you're still even with them. Nice that City lost, right? So it wasn't the worst of weekends.
Yeah. The weekend ended up being okay in an Arsenal perspective, but this should have been a win, and then accounting for the other results, it would have been much nicer. But it was a short week. They had Champions League on Wednesday, I think, and then right on a Saturday game, so maybe that played a factor in it. I don't know. Who knows what the reason for such a slow play was, but here we are. It's not much you can do. We play Palace in the EFL Cup tomorrow, and then play them again on Saturday.
Wow, back to back.
Back to back. So I think that'll be interesting. I don't know, what level of team each side will put out for the EFL Cup, but it's always a weird tactical battle, I guess, between managers when they play so closely, or back to back, or see what they want to do. So yeah, and of course Palace is finding some form here at the wrong time for Arsenal. So
that feels like a trap game just a little bit. Battle of the birds, the Eagles and the Seagulls. I didn't expect Palace to. Momentum, obviously, drawing City. I'm gonna call it a win for them.
Sure.
Going into Brighton and beating them 3-1 was not what I had on my predictions this week.
Not at all.
And kind of handling them. And
they look pretty good.
I would argue that the goal that Brighton got was pretty unlucky on Palace's part. And to call that an own goal on Guehi was so that's all Nunez right there, just blasting the ball in his back.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate.
Unlucky. But yeah, Palace looked good. They were moving. Sarr is a kind of a shining light for them, and of course their wing backs, who we are understanding more and more that it's just the same player on each side. I don't know. I like this team is clicking. They're now out of relegation by 4 points. I guess you can just keep climbing at this point. You're gonna have some tough matches coming up. Arsenal, Bournemouth, but then you got Southampton to regain that. But then you go against Chelsea, and then you kind of have maybe a coast of a couple more games heading into the new year. Um, it's like, dude, they just had such a rocky start.
Yeah.
It was, if they could have changed any of their outcomes in this 3-game stretch, losing to Everton, and then losing to Liverpool, losing to Forest, all 1-0 games.
Ah,
It's unfortunate that happened, but they were just in a dry spell, and now I think
yeah.
they can kind of look up. Eze is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as long as Eze feels comfortable in his role and with the people around him, and can teams don't block him out too much, I think this Palace team can do really well. Like you said, both wing backs are a threat from each side and also good defensively, so they're pretty well covered. Sarr, I don't know where he came from, but he's all of a sudden here, and he's causing a lot of problems for teams. And he seems to have a good confidence about him right now. Just drive with the ball and shoot, and they're going in. So I'd still want to see Mateta get a little bit more out of him,
Mm-hmm.
for how he ended last season and how he was over the summer and stuff. Like, I feel like we should see better from him, but if they can at least use him as just a big target man up top and play off him, then I guess that's good enough for now. But yeah, but I mean, you bring up the losses to Liverpool and Forest, like those are top 4 teams, so it's not out of the question for a Palace team to struggle against them. But I think they are finding some form. More worried about it than I planned to be going into this game, but I think it'll be good if they put up a good fight. Hopefully, Arsenal come to play as well, and then it'll silence all the haters for another week of how Arsenal's playing. Arsenal follow up that week with a trip to or Ipswich comes to London actually, but so a nice stretch for Arsenal before it kind of gets back to some bigger games. But I'm kind of excited to see Palace, see if they can rise back up to their 14th, 12th is their home, really.
Yeah,
I think they can still do it. They're still in the running.
They're pretty close. I guess after Man United at 22. It's really going to be like top 15 teams can all swap between 15's at 16 points and 6 is at 25. A 10-point swing is not a lot.
No,
That's pretty incredible how close this whole mid-table is looking.
Yeah,
the bottom 4, you're in some trouble.
Yeah, well, I mean, now we're gonna have to see, because Wolves fired their manager, Southampton fired their manager, Leicester just brought in their new manager, so there could be some topsy-turvy stuff going on down there. So if you're Palace, and I'll throw West Ham in there as well, don't let up now. Just gotta keep pushing forward and try and get some more distance.
Man, how about them Wolves?
We were so ready for their resurgence, and they just
collapsed mentally, mostly mentally. That was. They've had red cards shown at the last game they got a red card, but at the end of the game they're blowing up.
Yeah,
they're not holding themselves accountable for their loss. They're trying to blame or fight the opposition, which makes no sense. I'm not shocked that Gary O'Neill got fired. It sounds like he was losing control of the locker room, which is something you cannot have. And when you can't control your players at the end of the game, not a good look.
Yeah, not great. Yeah, disappointing for Wolves. I thought, we thought we unknowingly discovered that they had a really tough schedule to start the season, and even in those games, I think they showed a lot of progress throughout those games of just kind of getting better, just not good enough to get over the line. But then here comes the quote unquote easier games that they should be winning, and they're just still falling apart. And it's a bummer to give away an own goal and give up a really late goal to lose it, but they seem to just not be clicking well, and I get that could come down to turbulence with people not trusting the manager and didn't like the tactics, whatever it might be. So maybe they can make something happen still, but huge win for Ipswich. Brings them closer to maybe surviving. I don't know that they can yet, but you're creating some distance with the two teams below you, and that's big at least.
The fact they have 6 draws and then the Wolves have 3 and then Southampton 2, that shows they're sticking around in games.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know, between them and Leicester right now, it's tough to say considering Leicester has had some momentum with their new coach and a couple of tactic changes. It'll be interesting to see what Leicester does in the winter window. I don't think Ipswich will do too much. I don't think the Wolves will do too much. I highly doubt Southampton will do anything.
No.
So it's really will Leicester bolster their squad, possibly get a new striker, a younger one, and kind of see where that goes. But yeah, it's Everton too. They're not completely safe. They're not scoring goals. So it's going to be an interesting race at the bottom. And yeah, we're almost halfway through, but I'm pretty sure I would say the bottom 5 are going to stay the bottom 5.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And who goes where? Hard to say right now, but I think Southampton's definitely a lock.
Yeah, I think if you're Southampton, I would probably just grab some interim manager, not even worry about grabbing anyone too big or spending too much right now. Like, you got back up, but this squad just wasn't ready for it, and that's fine. But just kind of eat that now and prepare for next season, and go with that. But Wolves, I think there's good enough players there to kind of fight their way out, but they gotta stop imploding. They're them and Southampton like to just self-sabotage, and they're paying the price for it.
I guess we can jump to Tottenham and Southampton. That was no surprise there. 5 goals in the first half, and then they just didn't really have to do much that second half. That was just another classic Spurs game. Let's all out blitz attack. And I guess against Southampton, it looks really, really good. You can't get away with that with the top of the table teams, but I would love to see my team do this against Southampton too, and get it over with right at the start.
Well, I mean, not only that, so you can make early subs, protect some players a little bit more, but go down the goal differential column, and Tottenham sitting there in 10th with 17. Wow. Everyone else around them is 1, 2, or negative. So while that might not come really into contention this year, against these teams that are just bad, you should be putting away 4 or 5 goals and just padding your stats here, because that I don't think they'll come into a case where we need to look at their goal differential, but to be up there with the top 3 teams and them are the only ones with significant goal differentials. Even Man City's only at 5, so they're scoring. I don't know how they're down there in 10th with the 17, but
they're losing games 1-0. How many 1-0 games have they lost? 1, 2, almost 3. I see 3 in here. So, and those came against Palace, Arsenal, and Bournemouth. So the games they're losing, they're not scoring. The games they're winning, they're blowing teams out.
Such a weird team.
It's the Tottenham way.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but wasn't all too surprised when I saw that score line. I mean, 5 in first half was maybe the surprise, but they should be stomping this Southampton team, and they did. So fair play.
Chelsea got their points. Kukurea said, "I love my boots." That was I knew this was going to happen. This game was just script writing. You're going to score. Going to give your team the lead. They're going to get a red card at the
Has to
very
happen.
last second.
Yeah. I hoped Brentford would show up a little bit more.
Same.
They I don't know. Brentford's such a weird team too, where it's like I feel like they should be performing better than they are, but just don't when I need them to.
Well, you saw their record. They have the best home record, but the worst
Yeah.
away record.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's fascinating.
You got to find some balance in there, and I mean, this game you're still in London, so like you're somewhat home, right?
The fans must just get them going, and they get rattled elsewhere. How else do you
Guess,
explain it?
Yeah, it's a weird phenomenon they're under with that, but yeah, Kukurea had hit his own little Oscar moment in here.
He's good at that.
He's good at that. He
does it often. It's just the worst time.
Yeah. I don't know. I think still feel so like unsure about this Chelsea team. I know they've been on a really good run and they're performing much better than they have been. But I don't know. I feel like it's sometimes they look that good and other times they don't look that good, but then still pull out the wins. So I feel like it's hard for me to judge where their level actually is. I think considering how other teams have played, second right now feels fair for them, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I will say I like that it seems they've been able to move on from like Cole Palmer has to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not on, then, the whole team falls apart. So that's good for them. Nick Jackson, I think is actually getting better and much more threatening with his shots. And, his goal here was well done.
He looks relaxed.
Yeah. So, I think their gamble on a lot of these young players might kind of start to pay off here. But I don't know. I don't know that they're ready for like a title challenge necessarily in like the long term, but they got a lot of good pieces right now, I'd say.
They have a pretty nice stretch of games coming up. Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, and then Bournemouth and Wolves. So if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm saying we win all those. I think if they slip up on any of those, then you start to rethink it a little bit. They have Man City on the 25th. I mean, there's a lot of games this next month. There's a lot of things that could swing very, very quickly.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be an interesting 30 days. I'm a little nervous, but it'll be, I think for Chelsea, it'll be season defining. I think for everyone else, it will be just another January because we've just been around in these Januaries the last couple of years. But hell, if Chelsea can win all those matches and possibly take, the lead in this table, it'll be interesting. And then the pressure's on them, which honestly, I'm okay with having pressure on Chelsea, who's a team who's never kind of been in this situation before, because it's just, it's a lot to deal with. And Arsenal, Liverpool, City, they've all been in this situation the last 6 to 7 to 8 years. We know what's about to come in the last couple months. Chelsea doesn't. It's a brutal way to end the season with all these games and being so close together in points. I'm okay if Chelsea wants to take the lead by a point or two come February. Honestly, especially if we're making deep runs into Champions League. They're Conference League, they're going to probably win that. I think they're
they do have the
so
benefit of that, where it's like they just have a big enough squad that they basically send out the entire B team to those games, and all their starters get the rest like they're not even in Europe. So, if you got it, I guess utilize that. But yeah, it feels wrong to give them too much praise because of just how much money they spent and the crazy contract lengths and all the kind of weird stuff that they are doing with their ownership, but they're looking better. I'll give them that much.
For sure. Yeah, way better than last year when we were kind of dogging on them for a while. But yeah, no, nothing wrong with what they're doing. Obviously, second. They're saying though we don't know what a title race is. Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, come on.
Be serious. Didn't go over top of the table. Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah,
admit it. It's okay. It's a good place to be.
Like, I mean, yeah, I think you can admit it, but then also say like, you know, we aren't trying to pay too much attention to it or something. But like, yeah, to play this game of like, what you score points in this game, and there's a table. Like, come
on. Forest beating Aston Villa, love it.
Love it. Yeah,
I thought Emi Martinez had a howler of a game.
Yeah,
that was some bad goalkeeping there, which is, I don't know. I feel like it's happening kind of more and more with him. He's just making these little errors now and then. It's is he getting bored? What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's, you know, Villa has been struggling for a little bit now, so I think it's, you know, more team issue rather than, you know, just Emi. But I feel like he's always had a little bit of like a weird moment in games. You know, I think twice now against Arsenal, the ball has bounced off a post and then off of Emi into the goal. So, you know, he has those weird little moments that just go against him. But like this one, I think was pretty bad.
Yeah, no, it was in his hands, and
I get those. It was like pretty close. So, and it had decent enough power. So I get there's, you know, some of that and just maybe the surprise of it because it was so close. But
yeah,
I mean,
borderline.
It was in your hands.
It was in your hands. Great comeback though by Forest. His team,
Duran, though, he starts. He gets starting.
That's I think we're gonna see the shift. Watkins came in the 75th, did almost nothing. Interesting that you took out Duran in this game. I think I don't know. I was kind of surprised by that move, but if I am a Watkins owner, I'm thinking of making that switch.
Yeah, I mean, again, still, I think I would like to just see Watkins and Duran play up top together. Like, you know, just kind of looking at the lineup Villa put out. You know, you're using Matty Cash as a right wing, which, you know, not really his position. And you have Onana come back, so like when you sub him in, your midfield is pretty secure still. So I think you can probably sacrifice Cash on the right for Watkins and have like a 2 striker, or like leave Watkins a little bit on the right, so you still have somewhat of a winger there. But I think they gotta have those guys work together so it's at least an option, because they don't seem to ever get that opportunity to play off each other, and you know, I think they could both benefit from that. Duran seems to have the knack to get goals or create some threatening spots, and Watkins is, you know, kind of the guy that's typically there to pick up the pieces or be on the back post, or, you know, just cause some chaos up there too. So I don't know. Villa's got to figure it out. Emery's got some work to do. You know, this team shouldn't be in like such a rut, I don't think, but if your keeper's not catching the ball, that's a big issue. You got to figure that one out for sure.
They got Onana back. And that's
that'll be big.
Without him, they've been kind of in a little bit of a rut. But now that he's back, I can believe in them a little more here. But I just think if Duran is at least one of your best players on the team, at least in your top 11, you got to play your best 11 when you can. So that's where I'm at. I think you find a way. You put your best 11 out there, no matter who they are. You know, it's kind of like Liverpool. We have 4 to 5 really good forwards, and we try to play all of them in a game, and it seems to work. I think Villa has really good options. They just need to find a way to make them mesh together at the same time.
Definitely.
So with that, Bournemouth, West Ham. Bournemouth rescues a point at the last second. Another crazy finish. West Ham, I thought you were going to squeak by in this one, and somehow you find a way.
Yeah, I don't know. This West Ham team is still just, I don't know what their problem is. Like, you got Kudus back now.
He was good. He was good today or
He
yesterday.
was good. Yeah, you know, you're playing Souček in the middle again, so that's good. Paquetá's back out there. You know, I don't always like Bowen being your center forward, but he can do it, and I think, you know, considering Fulkrug is, I don't know, coming back from injury, I guess still. You know, Antonio is out for the foreseeable future with his car accident. This is probably going to be the team you're moving forward with, and probably your starting 11 in most games. So if you can't find, you know, enough creativity and attacking threat with like who you got out there, that's concerning. I don't want to say this coach is next in line to get the sack, but I think he's right there. Time to bring David Moyes back, you know?
Man, we thought this was Moyes' fault. If they lose against Southampton on the weekend, I guess midweek, Boxing Day, I think that's when you really ponder it.
Yeah, that would be a big, like almost 2 losses, basically. Like,
yep. Brighton, I could see them doing it. I feel like they match up nice against Brighton, especially because Brighton's been off the last couple weeks. Yeah, it's not looking pretty for them. I think if they lose the next 2, for sure he's out. If they lose against Brighton, it's on the hot seat. Southampton would be the dagger.
Yeah. I don't know. Just like, I know we've said it before, but just such a bummer that like this team was looking so good at the end of last season, especially like
So
they
sad.
kind of connected, and you know, Kudus was looking like this shining light out there, and you know, Bowen was connecting well with him, and David Moyes knew what he was doing, I guess. Kept them together.
But I mean, Kudus he's just coming back. I think this was his first full 90 since his red card.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, did he get the full 90? It was close. He got to the 75th. But all of his runs, his central runs, they were starting to put him in the middle. They looked good. He was putting some great balls into Bowen. Bowen had I don't know if you saw his woodwork hit.
Yeah.
Great little cutback, and then paused, observed the scene, and almost put one in the top left corner. I thought it was in. I think he would love to have that one back.
Yeah.
But, you know, Bournemouth has been a tricky team too. They've been fighting. They're in 5th. That's, you know, I'm sorry, they're in 6th, but they're right there in 5th. If City drops another game, Bournemouth can take that. Incredible that they're there.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, not their best game by any means, but like to end the game with a picture perfect free kick,
beautiful,
save a point, incredible. Yeah, so you know, Bournemouth is away to United at the weekend, so could do it. You know, if you come out and play like you had been playing, and you know, if United continues to look like they've kind of been looking, I think you can take the points there. And you know, City's away at Villa, so they have some history that might spark up both teams really, but
that'd be a good
hopefully
game.
just Villa. Yeah, so I think Bournemouth will be happy to get a point there. You know, considering they didn't play all that great, but you're right there in the running. Yeah, you're knocking on 5th, which is great. You know, you're not supposed to be up there by any means, and things are working. They're clicking. You're scoring goals. You know, you're not playing all that poorly when you do lose. I think you just get a little bit unlucky sometimes, but I don't know. I like seeing them up there. I like the mix up there where it's, now we get a Forest up there and Bournemouth and City in fifth, and let's just keep dragging them down lower. Let's keep it going.
This is the highest Bournemouth has ever been. Last year was the highest they've ever been at 12th. So,
well, there you go. I mean, that's incredible progress. So if they can keep it up, and once at the end stabilize, and maybe you're 10th or right in top 10, like that's still a great move.
yep.
I mean, considering the teams below you, have they been playing? I don't know. You could probably stay up in maybe 7th or 8th if you can keep up your form.
Solanke's kicking himself, man.
I feel like it had to be that way, Once you leave the team, they're going to do better than you. Makes it more funny that it's Tottenham that is doing worse now, but
that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Castle dismantling Leicester. Not shocked.
No. This looked like the Newcastle of old.
Yep.
Quick, cause an issue, multiple goal scorers. Jacob Murphy is seems to get a lot of power on the ball without a lot of wind up. And it's incredible that he can do that. And like, you don't hear about him too much in, when people talk of the good players currently. And I think he's up there. He's a little bit underrated, I'd say, but
I think so too.
I think this was a good game for Palace to kind of get back on track a little bit. They've, had such a shaky start to the season, a lot of injuries, so we account for that. But even then they've just been kind of on the struggle bus. Yeah, lost 4-2 to Brentford last week, and drew Liverpool 3-3, but with a Kelleher flub at the end there to just not hit the ball out or catch it or whatever. But
Yep.
A good crushing blow to Leicester to get you back on track might be what they need. They go to Ipswich next, so like you can continue to try and pile on and get some good form going here. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's a nice back-to-back to have. Well, on the weekend, Villa City, 6:30 a.m. for me. If you're gonna get up for that one,
I might need to, just because like I get both teams have been pretty poor form, but like they got some history now over a couple seasons, so might be one worth getting up, or at least getting up for second half or something. But
yeah,
we'll see how I feel.
Yeah, City's kind of just must watch right now, and
yeah,
just because teams are beating them. I might pick Aston Villa in my pick'ems. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean it's just crazy to see this team that was so dominant for so long struggling so hard. Like, I know Liverpool had their off season, but I feel like still their performances looked good for the most part. Like there were blips in there were bad times, sure, but like I feel like every time I watch City now, they don't look like they know what to do or really want to be out there, or it's just incredible.
It's fun to watch from the outside.
Oh yeah,
don't want to be at their training grounds right now. I don't know. It's got to be awkward.
Oh, for sure.
All right, Chad. Player team goal. I think for the team.
Well, we got to stick with our.
We said
I don't know. What we said. If you beat City, you get in team of the week, and United almost didn't get it.
They almost didn't, but they said,
but Diallo said, "No, I got to get this.
We need the nomination." Yeah, Man United, easy pick there. Again, If you beat City, automatic entry. Golden player. Lots of good goals this weekend, Chad. Lots of good goals. I don't know. Every time I saw one, I was like, oh, easy pick there. And then another one.
Yeah.
Damn it. Now I got to pick another. I do want to shout out Gakpo for his flying header from the Salah back post.
Yeah, that was cool.
Enes Unal, free kick. at the last second for them was awesome. Uh, Again, there were a lot of good a lot of good assists this weekend, I must say. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the Diallo one kind of just takes the cake here, just because the insane touch he had, and then for him
yeah.
to score that was just. I don't think anyone in the stadium thought that was really going to happen, let alone Pep. So it just felt like another dagger into City.
Yeah.
I hope for Diallo's sake, this was like a play me more, let me control the game more, because he's definitely showing that he has the talent to do it. So that's my nomination.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line with you there. I liked some of the Tottenham goals, some of the Newcastle goals, but like when it's such a blowout like that, they just feel like they don't mean as much.
Oh, if I can interrupt there, Madison's goal also made my list on the one where he was getting his shirt just absolutely
Oh yeah,
torn off. That should have been a PK if that wasn't going in, which
yeah,
I didn't hear anything about that being a PK because it did go in, but that's a PK all day if anything.
yeah. I think it definitely would have been if it didn't go in. I would hope so, at least. Like
Yep.
it'd be crazy if VAR wasn't going to look at that, um, but yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning Diallo on this just because it was, he had been trying those runs for a little bit and finally got onto one, and I think is aided a little bit by Ederson's indecision there to not just come out and claim that or be more of a threat, I guess. But even then, Diallo's touch kind of took him to a pretty hard angle, and he still slots it in pretty nicely, I'd say. So yeah, I liked his goal. I liked Embuemo's goal. Didn't mean much in the end, but man, that guy's just so good. He just when he gets on the ball and he's running
It's
through it,
dangerous.
hard to stop him. um, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, Ipswich winner was cool, but Wolves are just bad. So
They're doing wolf things. Player's a tough one. I didn't know if I wanted to go off box score stats or like just pure game impact. I really wanted to give it to Jota just because he came onto the pitch 6 minutes in after being injured for so long and equalized that game off of a great goal. But I think I want to give it to Ismaila Sarr from Palace just because we're like, where did he come from? Who is this guy? Came from Marseille. He was with Watford a couple years back in the Premier League. Didn't do a whole lot with them, but did well in the Championship. But I think Palace might have found a great Olise replacement for the time being, and he's playing. We've seen him in 9 games now, 3 goals, 2 assists. Definitely helping out Nketiah and Mateta, I think, which might help them do better now that gravity is going to Sarr. So that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I think he's a really good shout. The only other one that I was really focused in on was shouting out Diallo just for kind of creating both of those goals just by being a menace and trying to make something happen, and does. But Anthony Robinson, 2 great assists, 5 tackles on the day, 3 interceptions. So he's running that side. We already gave him so much praise, but he at least deserves a nomination here. But I like that Sarr pick. I think because he's just come out of freaking nowhere.
I got my eyes on you now. I will I'll be watching to see what you're doing. Can this stay consistent? Can you be that guy for Palace? Because they need one. They need another guy up top to help. So, and there's a lot of SARs in the league too. I think Everton has a SAR. I think Tottenham has a SAR. And now to see another SAR come up who's playing well, it's like, okay, now I'm paying attention to all y'all. I want to see what everyone's doing because I've seen almost all of them on the goal sheet. Within the last month or two. So, who's the best SAR in the league right now?
Tottenham SAR scored against Southampton, so he's out there. But I think fun to just have a player kind of spring onto the scene, and Palace fans may have known what he was going to bring to the team, but I had never heard of him before this, and all of a sudden he's making Palace look pretty good again. So
quickly.
Yeah.
All right, Chad. Got anything else to say?
No, I don't think so. It's another one done.
Another one in the books. Another fun weekend ahead of us. I'm gonna go rest my voice now. But it was always I like these morning chats. I feel alive and got some coffee in my veins. So
pleasure. Well, we might need to do some more morning ones considering the like back-to-back games we're about to get into here. So
they're gonna be coming. They're coming at us quick. That's right. Well, it's been a pleasure as always. We are here. We're almost halfway through the season. Long way to go. We'll see you next time on the Hooligans Pitch. We're out.
Peace.